Grotowski's genre of theater. Jerzy Grotowski was a theater director from Poland who became famous in the early 1960s directing theater productions at the Polish Laboratory Theatre of Wrocław. His works as a director, in production of what he called poor theater, are famous because of the way it involved the audience and broke the fourth wall. The audience to his productions were almost always small, creating an almost personal experience in the experimental theater, where the play and actor's technique, inherited from Stanislavski, focused on costumes, decors, and lighting. He trained to be an actor at the National Theatrical Academy, graduating in 1955. He joined the Laboratory Theatre in 1959, the year that it was founded, and had a permanent company, along with growing fame, by the mid-1960s. His highly influential book, Toward the Poor Theater, is considered to have changed theater as a whole. In 1939, the USSR declared that the Polish government ceased to exist, although this had been expected for a few years prior. Poland became part of the massive communist union that was the USSR, but large changes didn't take effect until the end of World War II in 1945 because both native Poles and the USSR were allied with the Allies. When the war ended, Poland became part of the communist regime, and after Stalin died in 1953, Gomulka slowly started to take over the country. 3 years after Gomulka took control over the country, the Polish group led by Grotowski was formed. By the mid-1960s, when Grotowski was at his prime in terms of directing theater, Poland was facing major economic and political issues. This was a huge inspiration for him. All throughout the late 1960s, the government was abusive and launched terrible and massive anti-Semitic campaigns as an attempt to blame Poland's problems on the Jewish population, even though the Jewish population of Poland was very low at the time. Productions and audience interaction. Some of Grotowski's larger productions include Faustus, Hamlet, and The Constant Prince, which all include some form of audience interaction. Poor theater and catharsis. Grotowski's definition of theater is what takes place between a spectator and actor. Poor theater is a lot more about the audience than most conventional productions. Grotowski calls for an absence of all superfluous elements such as set, costumes, props, and makeup. The pinnacle of performance is the total act, the moment during the actor's performance score in which he completely reveals himself to the spectator. Grotowski writes, "In the most important moment in your role, reveal your most personal and closely guarded experience. When this happens, quote, the spectator understands, consciously or unconsciously, that such an act is an invitation for him to do the same thing. This is how poor theater was used to drive change and efficiently impact the viewer's experience to make a lasting impression." Catharsis is the process of telling an emotional story through theater, and Grotowski uses this massively to great effect. In making the spectators so close to the actors, it almost makes the spectators feel the same way that the characters would. If the character goes through an emotional upheaval, the spectator would feel for that character, once again making a lasting impression. Later life and Towards a Poor Theater, and further mutations of poor theater. One of the main reasons that Grotowski is so famous today and revered for is his book Towards a Poor Theater. This book is instrumental and a very good learning resource on how to act, as well as how to direct catharsis, that is, how to bring emotion to the spectator through what the characters are feeling. Poor theater is just a coined term. It means theater without the excess or anything expensive, massive sets or costume design, hence poor. The concepts of body movement are very easily grasped by students, and it can be done in school drama departments easily because large sets or expensive things are not needed. This makes poor theater an extremely important idea in modern directing, and one easily accessible, which are both things that led to its fame. Here are the sources, and thank you for listening.